everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Learn English with Leo and Stella. I'm Leo, your host, and I'm so happy you're here with us today.
And I'm Stella, your co-host. Thank you so much for joining us. Whether you're walking, cooking, studying, or just relaxing, we're excited to spend some time with you. Today's topic is super helpful for anyone who wants to speak English better.
Yes, today we're going to talk about something very important. How to think in English smartly. This is a topic that many learners ask about, so we thought, let's make a full episode to explain it in a simple and fun way.
Exactly. Maybe you've heard people say, you need to think in English if you want to speak well. But what does that really mean? And more importantly, how can you do it in your daily life? That's what we're going to talk about.
Let's start with a quick question. Have you ever tried to speak English but had to stop and translate every word in your head from your language first? It feels slow, right? You want to say something, but your brain is working hard just to find the English words.
Yes, and that's totally normal in the beginning. But the truth is, the more you translate in your head, the harder it becomes to speak smoothly. That's why thinking in English is so powerful. When you train your brain to think directly in English, you don't need to stop and translate. You can speak faster and feel more confident.
Thinking in English helps you speak more naturally. It's like speaking without extra steps. It also helps with listening, vocabulary, and even writing. Your brain starts to understand English as English, not just as a second language.
And don't worry, you don't have to be perfect to start. In this podcast, we will give you easy, smart, and fun ways to begin thinking in English, step by step. So whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced learner, this podcast is for you.
That's right. If you want to improve your speaking and listening, if you're tired of slow translations, or if you want to sound more fluent, this episode is for you. So grab a cup of tea, relax, and let's learn together.
Let's get started.
All right, so let's dive into our first section. What does it really mean to think in English? I know this can sound a bit confusing for many learners.
Yes, some people might think, how can I think in another language? My brain just works in my first language. And that's totally okay. It's natural. We all grow up using our mother tongue, so our brain is used to thinking in that language.
Exactly. But when we say think in English, we don't mean you have to change your brain overnight. It's not like flipping a switch. What we mean is, you start training your brain to use English directly, without translating everything from your native language.
Let's take an example. Imagine you're at a restaurant and you want to ask for water. If you're not used to thinking in English, your brain might go like this. First, think in your language. I want some water. Then translate it in your head. How do I say that in English? Then say it. Can I have some water, please?
That's 3 steps. And during that time, you might feel nervous, slow, or even forget the words. But when you start thinking in English, your brain can go straight to the sentence. Can I have some water, please? It's faster, smoother, and you feel more confident.
Right. And here's another thing. Many English learners build a habit of always translating. They want to say something, but they look for the word in their own language first, then try to find the English word. This makes speaking feel stressful and slow.
This habit is very common. I've seen so many students, even advanced ones, who still translate in their heads. They know a lot of English words, but they don't think in English, so they pause a lot while speaking.
And you know what? It's not just about speaking. Thinking in English helps with listening too. Because when you think in English, your brain starts to process English sentences more quickly. You don't have to stop and ask, wait, what does that mean in my language? You just understand it directly.
Exactly. So, to make it simple, thinking in English means using English words and sentences in your mind when you're talking to yourself, when you're planning your day, or even when you're just walking down the street.
Yes, like this. You can look at your shoes and say in your mind, these shoes are comfortable. Or you look at the sky and think, the weather is nice today. This is thinking in English. Simple, short thoughts, directly in English.
Let's now talk about why this is so helpful. First, it saves time. When you think in English, you don't waste time translating. That helps you speak faster and with more confidence.
Second, it builds fluency. Fluency doesn't mean speaking fast. It means speaking easily without stopping too much. And that becomes possible when your thoughts are already in English.
Third, it helps you feel more comfortable with English. It becomes a part of your life, not just a subject you study. You feel more connected with the language.
And the best part? Anyone can do it. You don't have to be advanced. You can start with small, simple thoughts. Even beginners can begin to think in English with just 1 or 2 words a day.
So don't worry if you don't think in English yet. This podcast is here to help you get started. In the next part, we'll talk about why it's difficult at first and how to overcome those problems.
Stay with us. We're just getting started, and we're excited to show you the simple steps to train your brain to think in English smartly.
All right, so we've talked about what it means to think in English. Now let's be honest, it's not always easy. In this part, we'll talk about why it's hard to think in English, especially when you're just starting out.
Yes, and if you're listening right now and feel like, ugh, my brain just doesn't think in English, don't worry. You're not alone. Many learners feel the same way. Let's go through the common problems that make it difficult.
The first big problem is this: translating from your native language. We talked about this earlier, but let's go a bit deeper. When you learn English, it's normal to use your own language to help. But if you always translate in your head before speaking, it becomes a habit.
That habit can slow you down. Imagine trying to have a fast conversation, but every sentence needs to be translated first. It's tiring and it makes you feel nervous. Your brain is doing double work, thinking and translating at the same time.
Yes. And sometimes the words don't translate perfectly. So learners get stuck thinking, how do I say this exactly in English? And if they can't find the right word, they stop speaking.
Which brings us to the second problem: lack of vocabulary. If you don't know enough English words, it's hard to think in English. You might want to say something simple like, I'm excited. But if you don't know the word excited, your brain just freezes.
This happens a lot with learners who know grammar, but don't have everyday words in their head. So when they try to think in English, they feel stuck. It's like trying to cook a meal with only 1 or 2 ingredients.
Good example. And the third problem is a big one: fear of making mistakes. Many learners are scared to think or speak in English because they're afraid of saying something wrong.
That fear creates a mental block. You start overthinking. You ask yourself, is this the right grammar? What if I say it wrong? Will people laugh? And guess what? You end up saying nothing.
Yes. And that silence becomes another habit. You stay quiet instead of practicing. But remember, mistakes are part of learning. Everyone makes them, even native speakers.
Totally. Let me share a quick story. One of my students once told me, "I don't want to speak because my grammar is not perfect." But the truth is, speaking and thinking come before perfection. You get better by making mistakes, not by avoiding them.
Exactly. And here's the fourth challenge: mental block or overthinking. This happens when your brain just says, nope, not today. You try to think in English, but your mind feels empty or too full. You get nervous and confused.
Yes, your brain might be tired, or maybe you're thinking too hard. You want to say something simple like, "I need to go to the store," but you overthink. Do I use go to or go for? Is it a store or the store? You get stuck in grammar questions and lose the main idea.
This is why it's important to keep it simple at first. You don't need perfect grammar when thinking in English. Just simple, clear thoughts, like, I like this. She is happy. It's raining. That's enough to start.
So to sum up, thinking in English is hard because we're used to translating everything. We don't always know enough vocabulary. We're afraid of making mistakes. We overthink and block our thoughts.
But the good news is, all of these problems can be solved. In the next part, we're going to show you practical ways to train your brain to think in English every day, even if you're just starting out.
Get ready. We'll share tips that are simple, smart, and fun. So don't go anywhere. The best part is coming up. Now that we understand why thinking in English can be difficult, let's talk about the most exciting part: how to start thinking in English step by step. And don't worry, these steps are very simple. You don't need to be advanced. Anyone can do it, even beginners.
That's right, Leo. We'll give you easy ideas that you can use in your daily life. Let's start with the first step. Use small words and simple phrases. You don't need to think in big, complicated sentences at the beginning. Just start with very short thoughts in English, like I'm hungry, it's cold, or I like tea.
Exactly. Your thoughts don't need to be perfect. The goal is to make your brain feel comfortable with English. Even if it's only one word like water or phone, that's a great start. Over time, your brain will naturally begin to choose English words without needing to translate.
Here's another simple and fun step. Start naming things around you in English. For example, when you walk into your kitchen, look at the things around you and name them. Cup, plate, spoon, bread. You don't even need to say them out loud. Just think the words in your head. This is a powerful way to train your brain to use English in real life.
Yes, and you can do this anywhere. In your room, in the bus, at work, in a store. Look around and label everything you see in English. If you don't know the English word, write it down and check it later. That way, your vocabulary grows naturally and with real meaning.
Now, let's talk about something really helpful: using your daily routine to practice thinking in English. For example, when you wake up, try thinking, I need to brush my teeth, or I'm going to take a shower. When you're making coffee, think, I'm boiling water, or I'm adding milk. It's just like talking to yourself inside your mind, in English.
That's such a great way to practice. Every little action you do can become a practice moment. You can think in English when you're cooking, walking, cleaning, or even washing your hands. And because you're doing these things every day, it becomes a habit. and soon your thinking in English will feel automatic.
Speaking of habits, here's one of my favorite tips. Practice inner conversations in English. This means having a small talk with yourself in your mind. For example, imagine you're talking to a friend. You can think, "Hi, how are you?" and then answer, "I'm good, thanks." You can even imagine what you would say if someone asked you about your weekend or your hobbies.
I love that tip. Inner conversations are great because you don't need a partner. You can practice anytime, anywhere. Try to think about simple topics like, what do I want to eat? Or, what did I do yesterday? You don't have to speak aloud. Just think in English quietly inside your head.
And if you make mistakes while thinking, that's okay. The important thing is to keep trying. The more you practice, the better your thoughts become. Slowly, your sentences get longer, your words get stronger, and one day you'll notice you're thinking in English without even trying.
So, let's review the simple steps. Start with small and easy words or phrases. Name everything around you in English. Use your daily routine to practice English thoughts. Try inner conversations to build fluency in your mind.
These are small changes, but they bring big results. Just a few minutes every day can help your brain get used to thinking in English. And remember, thinking in English is like building a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
All right. In the next part, we'll show you some smart tricks and tools you can use every day to make your English thinking even faster and more natural. So stay with us. It's about to get even more fun. So far, we've talked about why thinking in English is important and how you can begin with small steps. Now, let's take it a little further. In this part, we'll share some smart techniques you can use to train your brain to think in English more quickly and naturally.
Yes, these techniques are not difficult, and many of them are fun too. Let's start with one of the most powerful tools, using an English-to-English dictionary. This means that instead of looking for your native language translation, you find a simple English explanation of the word.
That's such a great habit to build. When you use an English-to-English dictionary, your brain stays in English. For example, if you don't know the word hungry and you check the meaning in English, it might say, wanting to eat food. That's simple and helps you understand without going back to your first language.
Exactly. It stops the translation habit and builds your English thinking power. Most online dictionaries have simple definitions and even example sentences. You can use apps like Cambridge Dictionary or Oxford Learner's Dictionary that are made for students like you.
Now, here's another amazing method, the shadowing technique. This one is really good for speaking and thinking together. All you need to do is listen to a short English audio or video, maybe a podcast, a video clip, or even a cartoon, and then repeat what you hear as quickly and clearly as you can.
Right! You're not trying to translate, you're just repeating, like an echo. That's why it's called shadowing. Your brain hears English, and your mouth practices saying it immediately. It's a great way to improve your pronunciation, speed, and thinking in real time.
And here's a tip to help you every single day. Change the language on your phone or apps to English. Yes, we're talking about your mobile phone, social media, your calendar, even your maps. When you do this, you see and use English all the time. You don't even need to study. Just use your phone like normal. But now, everything is in English.
This is one of the easiest ways to bring English into your life. You'll see phrases like settings, update, or turn off notifications in English, and over time, they become part of your thinking. It makes English a natural part of your day, not something separate or difficult.
Now, let's talk about something simple but very powerful. Talking to yourself in English. Yes, you heard that right. You don't need another person. Just talk to yourself. For example, when you're walking home, you can think, I'm tired, but the weather is nice. Or before you sleep, today was busy. Tomorrow I will wake up early.
It may sound funny at first, but talking to yourself is a great way to train your thoughts. It helps you build confidence, and you start to think in English without pressure. And no one is judging you, so you're free to make mistakes and learn from them.
And here's a helpful idea for practicing your thoughts. Use speaking prompts. These are simple questions like, what's your favorite food? Or, what did you do yesterday? You don't need to answer out loud unless you want to. Just think about your answer in English, like you're having a little conversation in your head.
That's a great point. You can also write your answers if you like writing, or record your voice and listen to it later. Speaking prompts help your brain to think fast, find words, and form complete thoughts, all in English.
So let's quickly go over the SMART techniques we talked about. Use an English-to-English dictionary. Try the shadowing technique by repeating what you hear. Set your phone and apps to English. Talk to yourself in English. Use speaking prompts to practice thinking and speaking.
Remember, the more you use these SMART techniques, the more your brain will get used to thinking in English. It's like teaching your brain a new way to live. English becomes your second nature.
And don't try to be perfect. These tools are for practice and progress. Even a little bit every day will make a big difference in how you think and speak in English.
In our next section, we'll share some real-life examples and fun activities to help you build this English thinking habit every day. You don't want to miss that. It's going to be super useful.
Now that we've talked about the SMART techniques, let's do something fun and very helpful. We'll give you some real-life examples and even do a little role play. This will show you how thinking in English works in your daily life.
Yes! Sometimes learners say, "Okay, I understand the idea, but how do I actually do it in real life?" So in this part, we're going to show you how simple it can be when you stop translating and just speak or think directly in English.
Exactly. We'll show you an example. Let's say the topic is, what I do in the morning. Many people start their day in a similar way, so this is a great place to practice thinking in English.
All right, Leo, I'll go first. I'll say what I do in the morning, and I won't translate. I'll just think and speak in English naturally. Okay. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is turn off my alarm. Then I sit on my bed for a minute. I stretch my arms and take a deep breath. After that, I go to the bathroom, wash my face, and brush my teeth. I look in the mirror and say to myself, "It's a new day." Then, I make a cup of coffee and check my phone for messages. I don't eat breakfast immediately. I usually eat after 30 minutes. And while I drink my coffee, I think about my day, what I need to do, any meetings, or anything special. That's my simple morning routine.
That was great, Stella. Very simple, clear, and natural. And listeners, did you notice something important? Stella didn't stop to translate. She didn't say, "Oh, what is this word in English?" She just used the words she already knows to describe her morning.
Exactly. I didn't use any difficult vocabulary. I just used easy daily words. Anyone can do this, even beginners. You don't have to use perfect grammar. The goal is to keep your brain in English.
All right, now it's my turn. Here's my morning. I wake up at 6:30 a.m. I turn off the alarm and stay in bed for a few minutes. I check the weather on my phone, and then I get up. I go to the kitchen and drink a glass of water. After that, I take a quick shower. I listen to a podcast while getting ready. Then I make breakfast, usually eggs and toast. I sit at the table and eat slowly. Sometimes I write down my goals for the day in a small notebook. Before leaving the house, I grab my bag, keys, and phone. Then I'm ready to go.
Nice, Leo! Again, very natural and clear. You didn't try to make big, long sentences, and you showed how a person can just describe their life in English without thinking in another language.
And friends listening to us, you can do the same thing. Choose a simple daily activity. It could be your morning, your lunch, your weekend, or even what you see on your way to work or school.
And if you're not sure how to say something, that's okay. You can look it up in an English dictionary or ask a friend later. But don't stop in the middle of thinking. Try your best to continue in English, even with simple words.
You can even record yourself talking about your day. Listen to it later and try to improve it next time. This is how your brain gets better and faster in English.
So now, let's give a challenge to our listeners. After this episode, try this. Sit down or walk around and describe your morning routine, only in English. Don't write it first. Just think it or say it aloud. Talk to yourself like we did.
Great idea! And if you can, record it and keep it. After 1 week or 1 month, do the same routine again, and you'll see how much better you are.
This small daily habit will train your brain step by step. It's simple, powerful, and fun.
Coming up next, we'll talk about how to build the habit of thinking in English and keep it going every day, even when you're busy or tired. All right, friends, we've shared a lot with you so far. What it means to think in English, why it's hard, how to start, and even some real-life examples. Now, before we finish today's episode, we want to give you some bonus tips. These are small, smart ideas that can really help you keep going on your journey.
Yes. And remember, learning to think in English is not something that happens in 1 day or 1 week. It takes time, practice, and patience. So here's our first bonus tip. Be patient with your brain.
That's right. Your brain is learning something new. It's like going to the gym. The first time you lift weights, it's hard. But the more you go, the stronger you get. Thinking in English is the same. Your brain needs training, and training takes time.
So don't get upset if you make mistakes, or if your mind goes back to your native language sometimes. That's normal. The key is, keep practicing and be kind to yourself.
Now, here's the second bonus tip. Celebrate small progress. When you're learning a language, small wins are very important. Maybe today you were able to think in English for 5 minutes. That's great. Celebrate it. Smile. Tell yourself, yes, I'm improving.
Exactly. Sometimes we only look at the big goal. I want to speak fluently. But fluency doesn't come all at once. It comes step by step. So every time you think a sentence in English without translating, that's progress.
Here's our third tip. Set a Think in English time every day. It can be 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You can choose a time that works best for you. For example, after breakfast or before going to bed.
Yes. During that time, don't read, don't write. Just think in English. You can think about your day, what you like, your weekend plans, or anything. This small habit builds your English brain slowly but strongly.
And our next tip is very helpful if you like talking. Join a speaking club or use voice notes. Speaking clubs are great places to practice thinking and speaking in English with others. If you don't have one near you, don't worry. There are many online speaking groups too.
And if you're shy or busy, try this. Use your phone to record voice notes in English. You can talk about your day, your thoughts, or even read something out loud. It's like having a conversation with yourself, and you can listen to it later and hear how you're improving.
Also, don't forget, Listening to podcasts like this one helps too. When you listen, your brain starts to feel comfortable with English sounds, words, and patterns. That helps you think faster in English without even realizing it.
Also, don't forget, listening to podcasts like this one helps too. When you listen, your brain starts to feel comfortable with English sounds, words, and patterns. That helps you think faster in English without even realizing it.
These small things may not seem big, but together they create big results. So be patient, enjoy the journey, and keep showing up. One English thought at a time.
You got this, friends. You're already doing something amazing just by listening and practicing. So keep going and remember, we're here to help and cheer for you every step of the way.
Coming up next, in the final part of today's podcast, we'll give you a summary of everything we've talked about and leave you with some final words of encouragement. All right, friends, we're now at the end of today's episode, and wow, we've covered a lot. If you've been with us from the beginning, thank you so much for listening and learning with us.
Yes, thank you. We really enjoyed talking about today's topic, how to think in English smartly. So before we say goodbye, let's do a quick recap of the key points we shared today.
First, we talked about what it means to think in English. It's when you stop translating in your head and begin forming your thoughts directly in English. This helps you speak faster and more naturally, just like native speakers.
Then, we discussed why it's hard to think in English. Things like translating from your first language, not having enough vocabulary, being afraid of mistakes, or just overthinking too much. These are all common problems, and you're not alone if you felt them.
After that, we shared some simple steps to start thinking in English, like naming things around you in English, thinking about your daily routines in English, and having little conversations in your mind.
We also gave you some smart techniques to train your brain, such as using an English-to-English dictionary, trying the shadowing method, changing your phone language to English, and even talking to yourself out loud or using voice notes.
And of course, we showed you a real-life example. How you can describe your morning routine in English without any translation. It's a great way to practice thinking and speaking at the same time.
Finally, we shared some bonus tips to help you stay strong on this journey, like being patient with your brain, celebrating small wins, setting a daily Think in English time, and joining speaking clubs or online groups.
So, now comes the most important part. Action. Don't just listen. Try something today. Pick just one tip from this episode and give it a try. Maybe start by naming the things you see around you in English, or try to describe your lunch or your plans for tomorrow in English.
Yes, start small. Even 5 minutes a day is enough. What matters is that you do it every day. Your brain will slowly start to think more in English, and soon you'll see the change.
And don't forget, this podcast is here for you to practice. You can listen again, repeat what we say, or use parts of our conversation to practice speaking. You can even pause and answer out loud. It's all part of the learning process.
We want to be your learning friends. So if you liked this episode and found it helpful, please subscribe to the podcast. That way, you'll never miss new episodes.
And if you're listening on YouTube or a podcast app, don't forget to like this episode and leave a comment. Tell us, which tip will you try first? Or share your own tip for thinking in English. We'd love to hear from you.
Your feedback really helps us and other learners too. We are all learning together, and your comment could help someone else grow.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today. We believe in you. You have the power to learn English, to think in English, and to grow every day.
Stay confident, stay curious, and never stop learning. You're already doing something amazing just by listening.
All right, that's it for today. Until next time, keep thinking in English and keep shining. Bye for now.
Keep thinking in English and keep shining. Bye for now.